Instead, we're going to have 10 people stand up one by one. They're going to shout out a statement for roughly 10 seconds, right? Just a short 1 or 2 sentence statement. It's going to be written on a 3x5 index card. And the reason why we did that was so that no vulgarity would be used. People wouldn't get emotional and just scream out something like, F you, Michael Oren, you suck. But really that they would stick to the point, stick to something political, and really get the message across. We were told, and we agreed from beforehand, obey police orders. If police tell you to leave, you leave. And in fact, once you're done with your statement, you should leave right away. And you should just go hang out in the student center or something until the entire protest is done. So it's pretty lame and tame compared to other types of protests. It's really nothing too crazy. And we're like, you know what, we're completely within what we perceive to be the limits of the law, because this is something we've seen on our own campus, right? With the UC tuition fee hike protest, and even I could go off on a laundry list of protests that have been completely disruptive, in which speakers were not allowed to complete their speeches, where microphones were taken, and no one was ever academically disciplined, no one was ever threatened with academic discipline, no one was ever arrested. So this is our mindset, is that, you know what, we're doing something, it's cool, this happens all the time. This is California, home of the Black Panthers, San Francisco State, San Jose State, Berkeley. This is how people get down in California. It's just how it is. It's the Wild West. So we decide, you know what, cool, we're set, we're ready to go. Monday comes around, February 8th, it's nighttime, the event is about to start, and we head over to the event. And the idea is 10 students are going to protest, and then after the 10th student, there's going to be a large student walkout of the supporting students who have come to support us. They're going to stand up after the 10th student, and they're going to complete a walkout to, hit both notes. The protest and the walkout at the same time. So, trying to combine ideas. So we decide, we go in, and we sit down, we situate ourselves throughout the auditorium, 700 people, the place is packed, mostly with community members. And we knew there would be community members. And our purpose was never really to educate the community. And it was never really because we assumed that most of them already had their minds made up. And really our main purpose was to challenge power. If we educated the community and someone was like, a light bulb clicked in their head when we made one of our comments, great, added benefit, but that wasn't our main priority. Our main priority was to challenge power, especially the type of power that Michael Oren represented, which was state power. And for us, we had a realization that when you deal with state power has a lot more power than we do, hence they're a state, and hence their government. They have the power of media, they have money, they have podiums that they can speak at, they have CNN listen to them when they speak, Fox News, all these different news organizations listen to them when they speak. So there's already a disadvantage between regular civilians like us and state power. There's a high disparity. I don't think that's a very controversial statement to make, is that there is this huge disparity between the powers that we both have. And so for us, really, there was also this realization that when dealing with state powers oftentimes attempt to legitimize their power and even provide justification in the form of allowing certain forms of dissent. And in the case of this event, to really bring it closer to home, Michael Oren was giving a speech from the podium, and he's, propagating his policies and saying everything he believes in, and the Israeli policies in regards to the Palestinian people. And at the end of the day, and at the end of the event, you can challenge him, right, in a way in which he allows you to challenge him, which is question and answers. And so for us, really asking question and answers wouldn't have been a challenge, because you can't challenge power by challenging them in the way they want to be challenged. So we had to do something else to even the playing field. And for us, that was throwing a curveball at Michael Oren. And that was by standing up throughout the lecture and doing something he wasn't expecting. And if we had something on our hands, it's almost like guerrilla warfare tactics, where the conventional army doesn't really understand where and when the guerrilla warfare in military personnel is going to attack from, or when they're going to do it, at what time they're going to do it. And that's kind of the advantage that we had. Michael Oren doesn't really know when or where we're going to pop out from. We're situated across the lecture hall, and we have that advantage. And so that hopefully allows us to level the playing field a little bit and really get into a real discussion and put us on an equal playing field with Michael Oren, so that our protests and our statements have a greater effect upon him and will have a greater effect in sending a message directly to Tel Aviv. And so we're ready. We sit down, situated throughout the lecture hall. I was the first one. Maybe 30 seconds into his talk, a minute into his talk, I stand up and I yell out, "Michael Oren propagating murder is not an expression of free speech." And then, according to the plan, I begin to leave. I walk out to the aisle and I begin to leave. And as I'm leaving, actually, police grab me and they take me to a back room. And then I didn't know this at the time, I found out later, but as I'm being held in the back room and I'm actually getting patted down, I'm placed in front of a table like this, stacked with dozens of handcuffs, metal handcuffs, and I'm getting patted down, arrested, everything. One of the administrators and actually the MC of the event, Professor Mark Petrarca, the chair of the political science department, which was sponsoring the event, had actually gotten up on the microphone and gone, "One interruption is fine, get it out of your system." Obviously, one interruption wasn't fine. I was already in handcuffs. Anyways, the event continues, right? And then the second student gets up, the third student gets up, the fourth student gets up, and it just keeps coming out of nowhere. Different things are said. "You, sir, are an accomplice to genocide. It is a shame that the university would sponsor a mass murderer like yourself." All these different statements are coming out. "Judaism is innocent of the crimes of Zionism." A bunch of different things were coming out from our mouths. All the statements that we were supposed to say. One by one, we get arrested, and they join me in the back room, and our numbers pile up in the back room. Finally, Michael Oren, after the fourth interruption, takes a break, 10-minute, rest and relaxation, gets off the stage, and he comes back, and he continues, and the protests keep coming until it gets to number 10. Finally, number 10 goes up, and he protests, and then the large student walkout occurs right after that. And as the students are walking out within the auditorium, they're chanting. And one of the guys leading the chants is yelling out, "Whose university?" And everyone else is responding, "Our university." And so police grab him too. And then he walks in, and then all of a sudden he's joining us in the back. And that's how he became the Irvine 11. Even all of us were surprised when he came in, like, "Hakeem, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And then, anyways, the students leave. Our plan was to have the student walk out at 6:25. The event was scheduled to start at 5:30 and supposed to end at 7 o'clock. So the event, we end up, the student walkout actually occurs at 6:27, 2 minutes behind plan. And the student walkout occurs, Michael Oren continues, he finishes his speech, and then with 10 minutes left, he actually ends the event early, before 7. Instead of fielding question and answers, he heads to Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, because he has a photo opportunity with Kobe Bryant, the star of the Los Angeles Lakers. And we verified this by actually having the head of Los Angeles Lakers security testify in court in this regard. So we thought, you know what, great job, guys. Yeah, we got arrested, but what kind of judge is gonna actually listen to this, case in court? What kind of prosecutor? It's going to get thrown out. There's no way that anyone really goes after something like this. Really, the university was just using its private police force to intimidate us and arrest us in order to prevent people from doing it, but was never really going to follow up on anything. And we knew UC Irvine had a history of targeting Palestinian activism on campus, and really attempting to stifle Palestinian speech on campus. And so we had that in mind, right? But we're like, there's no way this goes beyond Monday night.